In the picture, you can see several couples dancing at the far end of the room near the orchestra. One of the waiters is standing near the buffet, where there are cold dishes of various kinds. Another's carrying a tray with a bottle of wine and 2 wine glasses on it. He'll put the bottle of wine into the ice bucket to keep it cool.
Meals in England are much the same as in other countries, with the exception of breakfast. I expect you've heard all about the English breakfast, with its porridge or cereal, bacon and eggs, toast, marmalade, and tea or coffee. Very few people like chocolate or cocoa for breakfast. In the afternoon, about 4 o'clock or past, nearly everybody has tea. The 2 main meals of the day, lunch and dinner, are both more or less alike. Most people have lunch about 1 o'clock and dinner at 7:30 or later.
Lesson 18. 18th lesson. Ordering a meal.
Is this table free, waiter?
I'm sorry, sir. These 2 tables have just been reserved by telephone. But that one over there is free.
What a pity. We wanted to be near the dance floor. Still, it doesn't matter. We'll take it. The menu, please.
Here you are, sir. Will you dine à la carte or take the table d'hôte?
Well, let's see. What do you think, darling?
Oh, I don't want much to eat. I'm not very hungry. I think I'll have some oxtail soup and fried plaice with chips.
I'm rather hungry. I'll start with some hors d'oeuvre.
And to follow?
A grilled steak with baked potatoes and peas.
Will you have anything to drink, sir?
Well, I am rather thirsty. Bring me half a pint of bitter. What about you, darling?
Well, I don't care for beer, but I will have a glass of sherry.
Very good. What sweet would you like?
I'll have a fruit salad.
So will I. And we'll have 2 coffees, please.
Black or white?
White, please. Oh, and 2 liqueur brandies. What a lovely waltz they're playing. Shall we dance?
Yes, I'd love to.
Waiter, the bill, please.
Very good, sir.
Here you are.
Thank you very much, sir.
Lesson 19. 19th lesson. Numerals. Times and dates.
If I want to know the time, I look at my watch. I've got a gold wristwatch with a leather strap. It keeps fairly good time, but occasionally it goes wrong. When it does that, I take it to a watchmaker and have it repaired, cleaned and regulated. I don't think you'll find it very difficult to tell the time in English. First of all, let's deal with the hours. We say it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and so on. 12 o'clock may refer to midnight or to midday. Then for the quarters, we say, for instance, it's 8:15, 8:30, 8:45. Sometimes people just say 8:15 instead of 8:15, and 8:30 instead of 8:30. We say other times as follows: 5 minutes past 8, or simply 8:05. Similarly, 10 past 8, 20 past 8, 25 past 8, 25 to 9, 20 to 9, 10 to 9, 5 to 9.
Referring to dates, we say, for instance, Henry VIII was born on the 28th day of June, 1491, and died on the 28th of January, 1547. Be careful to pronounce distinctly 13:30, 14:40, 15:50, 16:60, and so on. Then learn 100, 101, 276, 1,000, 3,387.
Lesson 20. 20th lesson. Days and months. Asking the time.
Do you know the days of the week?
Yes. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Now let's assume that today is Wednesday. What day will tomorrow be?
Thursday.
And the day after tomorrow?
Friday.
What day was yesterday?
Tuesday.
And the day before yesterday?
Monday.
As it happens, last Monday was my birthday.
Is that so? Well, many happy returns of the day.
Thank you. And now let's have the names of the months.
Certainly. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
Good. Oh, can you tell me the right time, please?
Well, my watch says 2:05, but it's no use relying on it because sometimes it's fast and sometimes it's slow.
Lesson 21. 21st lesson. English money.
If you're going to England, you'll naturally want to know something about English money. I expect you've been used to the decimal system, so English money will probably seem very strange to you at first, but you'll soon get used to it.
There are 3 copper coins, the penny, the halfpenny and the farthing. Then there's the threepenny bit. The other coins are the sixpence, the shilling, the 2-shilling piece and the half-crown, which is worth 2 shillings and 6pence, or as we say, 2 and 6. Then there's a 10-shilling note and a pound note in common use. And for larger sums, there are £5 notes, £10 notes, and so on. There's no gold in circulation, so you hardly ever see a sovereign or half-sovereign. You may often hear the term guinea, which stands for 21 shillings, although there's no actual coin of this value.
There are 4 farthings in a penny, 12 pence in a shilling, and 20 shillings in a pound. If the price of a reel of cotton is 4pence, you hand over 4 pennies for it. Similarly, you say 2pence, 3pence, and so on. If a stamp costs 3 halfpence, you hand the clerk a penny and a halfpenny, or 3 halfpennies, and he gives you a 3 halfpenny stamp. Lesson 22, 22nd lesson. At the bank.
Can you change me some money, please?
Certainly. What is it you wish to change?
Here it is. Some French francs, Swiss francs, American dollars, and a few Dutch guilders. You'd better count them.
If you'll wait a moment, I'll find out the rates of exchange. Here we are. Let me see. That'll make £41, 12 shillings and 6pence altogether. How would you like it?
Would you please give me 7 £5 notes, 4 pound notes, and 4 10-shilling notes, and the rest in small change?
Certainly. Here you are. Will that do?
Would you mind giving me the 6pence in coppers? I want to make a phone call, and I haven't any change. Thank you. By the way, can I open an account here?
You'll have to see the manager about that. If you'll kindly go through that door marked private, he'll attend to you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Anderson. I should like to open an account with you.
A deposit or current account?
Well, I want to be able to pay for things by cheque.
Then you want a current account. How much money do you want placed to your credit?
Here's £200. I think that ought to last me for some time.
I take it you can supply references?
Certainly.
Right. Here's a checkbook. And when you send a cheque by post, be careful to cross it. But if you wish to cash a cheque yourself, you must leave it open.
Lesson 23, 23rd lesson. Postal services.
There are post offices in every town and nearly every village in the country. If you want to post an ordinary letter, a postcard or a small parcel, you needn't go to the post office. You can drop it into the nearest pillar box. You can recognise these easily in England because they're painted red. If you want to send a telegram, you can either take it to the nearest post office or dictate it over the telephone. Pillar boxes are emptied several times a day. If you want your letter to arrive more quickly than by ordinary post, you can send it by airmail. Letters are delivered to your home or office by a postman, and telegrams by a telegraph boy. Here you can see what the inside of a post office looks like. On one side of the counter, you see several customers. On the other side, the clerks.
One of the people in the picture is buying postage stamps. Another is registering a letter. The third is writing out a cable. If you want to buy stamps, you must go to the right counter. If you go to the wrong one, you'll only waste your time. Ask for a halfpenny stamp, a penny stamp, a 3 halfpenny stamp, a 2penny stamp, a 2penny halfpenny stamp, a 3penny stamp, and so on. If you want to send a parcel, you hand it to the assistant, who weighs it on scales and gives you the necessary stamps. The amount you have to pay depends on the weight of the parcel. In most post offices, and also in many streets, there are public telephone boxes from which you can telephone. All you have to do is lift the receiver, put into the slot the pennies due for the call, and dial the first 3 letters of the exchange you want, followed by the number.
Lesson 24, 24th lesson. At the post office.
Excuse me, can you tell me where the nearest post office is?
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm a stranger here myself. Perhaps that gentleman over there will be able to help you.
Thank you. I'm sorry to trouble you, but can you direct me to the nearest post office?
Yes, it's in the High Street. As a matter of fact, I'm going in the same direction myself. So if you come with me, I'll show you.
That's very kind of you.
There it is. That building over there.
Thanks very much.
Don't mention it.
I want to send a telegram. Where can I get a form?
You'll find some over there. Will you put your name and address on the back? That'll be 3 and 6.
Do you mind telling me where I can get stamps and a registered envelope?
At the next counter.
A 5-shilling book of stamps, please, and a large registered envelope.
Will this size do?
Yes, thank you. That's just right. Would you mind telling me what the postage on this letter will be?
3 by ordinary post, or 6 if you want to register it. Lesson 25, 25th lesson. Travelling.
Those who wish to travel either for pleasure or on business have at their disposal various means of transport. There is, for instance, the humble, inexpensive bicycle. Then there's the motorcycle, with which you can travel quickly and cheaply, but for long journeys it's rather tiring. With a motor car, one can travel comfortably for long distances without getting too tired.
Luxurious ships cross seas and oceans from one continent to another. Aeroplanes carry passengers to various parts of the world in almost as many hours as it takes days to do the journey by other means. But most of us still have to use trains. Look at this picture of a busy railway station. A train is standing at one of the platforms ready to leave. Some of the passengers are looking out of the windows, watching the latecomers, who are hurrying along looking for empty seats.
The engine is ready to draw the train out of the station. On another platform, a train has just come in. Some passengers are getting out, others are getting in. Those who've not taken the precaution of getting their tickets beforehand are waiting in queues at the booking office. At the bookstalls, people are choosing books, magazines or newspapers for the journey. At the cloakroom, others are depositing or withdrawing their luggage. Further along, there are refreshment rooms crowded with people snatching a hasty meal, while those with time to spare are sitting in the waiting rooms.
Lesson 26, 26th lesson. At the station.
Porter, will you see to my luggage, please?
Where for, sir?
I'm going by the 10 o'clock train to Glasgow. Will you have this trunk labelled and put in the luggage van? The suitcase and bag can go on the luggage rack.
Right, sir. What class?
First, try and find me a corner seat in a smoker facing the engine, if you can.
Have you got your ticket yet, sir?
Not yet. Where's the booking office?
Come along with me and I'll show you. Here it is. I'll meet you on the platform.
Which platform is it?
Number 8, over there.
One first to Glasgow, please.
Single or return?
Single. Do I have to change anywhere?
No, no change. It's a through train.
Thank you.
Here you are, sir. I found you a corner seat next to the corridor. Your carriage is near the dining car. And you can order lunch when the attendant comes along.
What time do we get to Glasgow?
You're due to arrive at 6:15.
Thank you. Here you are.
Thank you, sir. I hope you'll have a comfortable journey.
Well, I've still got a few minutes to spare, so I'll go and get myself a novel or a detective story to while away the time during the journey.
Mind you don't miss the train, sir.
That's all right. The train doesn't leave for another 10 minutes, and it won't take me more than 5 minutes to get a book.
Lesson 27. 27th lesson. Travelling by sea and air.
Last Wednesday week, I went down to Southampton Docks to see my partner off to New York on one of our largest liners. What colossal ships these steamers are when you see them from the landing stage alongside the quay. I had a pass, so I went on board and had a look round. From the top deck, I could see the huge cranes lifting the cargo and depositing it in the holds. I saw members of the crew carrying out their duties in various parts of the ship, while the captain watched the operations and gave his orders from the bridge. Then the siren sounded, and the visitors made for the gangways. Finally, the ship began to move off, and the passengers, leaning over the rails, waved goodbye to their friends standing below amongst the crowd. Slowly she left the harbour, passing beyond the pier, and gradually disappeared in the distance. A few days later, I myself had to go to Paris. The journey was urgent, and I went by air. I went to the airport by a special bus provided by the company. On the airfield, we saw a large plane waiting for us. We climbed into it, and at exactly 12 o'clock it took off. Very soon, our magic carpet reached the sea, and shortly afterwards, we saw the French coast. It wasn't long before we arrived at our destination. Our pilot made a perfect landing, and we got out of the plane.
Lesson 28. 28th lesson. On the boat.
This way for the Dover boat. Have your passports ready, please. Pass up the gangway. First class on the right, second class on the left.
Here we are. Would you like to stay up on deck or go down below?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not much of a sailor.
Oh, you won't be seasick today. The sea's perfectly calm. We're sure to have a good crossing. I'll get a couple of deck chairs up here in the sun.
Oh, well, I'll risk it. But if the worst comes to the worst, don't blame me.
Do you travel much?
Not more than I can help by sea. I've crossed the Channel once before, but frankly, I did not enjoy it.
Why don't you fly across?
I think I shall one of these days. It couldn't possibly be worse than a really bad sea crossing, and it's very much quicker anyhow.
I can see the English coast already, can you?
Yes, just.
Well, I suppose we'd better get ready for landing. I say, you haven't got anything dutiable, have you? If you have, you'd better declare it. Whatever you do, don't try to bribe a customs officer, or you'll get into trouble.
I don't think I'm quite as foolish as that. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have anything to declare. Still, thanks all the same.
Lesson 29. 29th lesson. A street in London.
We're now in Oxford Circus, halfway along Oxford Street, one of the busiest streets in the West End of London. And that street over there is Regent Street, famous all over the world for its splendid shops. Near one of the street corners you can see an entrance to the subway leading to the Underground Railway, or Tube as we call it. On both sides of the street there are shops, banks and restaurants. In the roadway there's a constant stream of cars, taxis, buses and lorries. In some parts of London there are trolley buses and trams as well. The noise is deafening, but one soon gets used to it. The pavements are crowded with people, and it's dangerous to attempt to cross the road until the traffic is stopped, either by a policeman on point duty or by the red traffic lights. In any case, before crossing the road, take care to look to your right, and when you reach the middle of the road, look to your left. At night, the streets are lit by electricity, or in some districts by gas. You can see the lamp posts and standards on the pavements and on the islands in the middle of the road. The main streets are flooded with light from the brilliant shop windows and the illuminated signs and advertisements, so that after dark everything looks as bright as in broad daylight.
Lesson 30. 30th lesson. Asking the way.
Excuse me, can you tell me the way to Trafalgar Square?
Certainly. Go down Regent Street to Piccadilly Circus and then go down the Haymarket. Turn to the left at the bottom and in less than a minute you'll be in Trafalgar Square.
Thank you very much. How far is it from here?
If you walk, it'll take you 10 minutes or a quarter of an hour.
Is there a bus?
There's sure to be. But you'd better ask the policeman over there. He'll give you all the information you want.
Thank you. Excuse me, officer. Is there a bus from here to Trafalgar Square?
Yes, sir. Any bus will take you. And there's a bus stop just over there. Ask the conductor to put you down at Trafalgar Square.
Thank you. Does this bus go to Trafalgar Square?
Yes, sir. Come along, hurry up. No room on top, inside only. No standing on the platform. Pass down the bus, please. Sorry, full up. Sorry, sir, you can't smoke inside. You'll have to wait until there's room upstairs. Fares, please.
Trafalgar Square, please. And will you tell me when we get there?
Trafalgar Square. This is where you get off, sir.
Thank you.
Lesson 31. 31st lesson. A visit to London.
If you can stay only a few days in London, you won't have much time for your sightseeing. And how to spend your time to the best advantage is rather a problem. If I were you, I should make up my mind beforehand. It all depends on your tastes. You may, for instance, be interested in shops, or in art galleries, or in museums. Or you might prefer to start with the principal historical buildings and monuments. In that case, you might begin in the West End and see the Houses of Parliament, Westminster Abbey, Whitehall and Nelson's Column. From there, you could go along the Mall to Buckingham Palace and have a look at Queen Victoria's Memorial, facing the palace. Then stroll up Constitution Hill to Hyde Park Corner and take a walk through the park and Kensington Gardens to the Albert Memorial, which faces the Albert Hall. That's really more than enough for one day, but still, if you want to see more, you might get on top of a bus going towards the city. The bus goes along Piccadilly to Piccadilly Circus and Charing Cross, then along the Strand and Fleet Street to Ludgate Circus. There, you might as well get off and walk up to St. Paul's Cathedral. After that, you could go further east, to the heart of the city, and see the Bank, the Mansion House and the Royal Exchange. And then, if you had time and weren't too tired, you could go to the East End and see the Tower of London, Tower Bridge over the Thames, the Mint and the Monument.
Lesson 32. 32nd lesson. Sightseeing.
Is it possible to see anything of London in 1 or 2 days?
Well, yes, but of course not half enough.
What do you think I ought to see first?
Well, if you're interested in churches and historical places, you should go to Westminster Abbey, the Houses of Parliament, St. Paul's, and the Tower. Do you like art galleries?
Rather.
Then why not go to the National Gallery and the Tate?
I'm told one ought to see the British Museum. Do you think I shall have time for that?
Well, you might, but if I were you, I should leave that for some other day. You could spend a whole day there. It's much too big to be seen in an hour or so.
I suppose it is. What about going to the zoo?
That's not a bad idea. You could spend a couple of hours there comfortably, or even a whole afternoon, watching the wild animals, birds and reptiles. You could have tea there, too.
I'll do that, then. How do I get there?
Let me see. Where are we? Oh, there's the BBC. I think your best way from here is to walk across Regent's Park.
Is it much of a walk?
Oh, no. A quarter of an hour or so. But if you're in a hurry, why not take a taxi?
I think I will. Ah, here's one coming. Taxi. The zoo, please.
Lesson 33, 33rd lesson. The big stores.
I went into one of the big London stores today and enjoyed myself very much, just wandering from one department to another, looking at the various articles and the counters. I thought the assistants were very helpful. There must have been some hundreds of salesmen and saleswomen and dozens of different departments, including china, haberdashery, confectionery, hardware, and even provisions. I went from one department to another, from umbrellas to gloves, from fancy goods to lace, up and down in lifts and on escalators. As I was going through the book department, I was surprised to meet an old friend of mine whom I hadn't seen for years. She's been living abroad, and she's just come back to England for a short holiday. We went up to the restaurant and had lunch together. Of course, we talked and talked. She told me that she was married and that she'd brought her eldest boy to England with her. He was going to school here and would live with his grandmother, who's a widow. His grandfather died quite recently. We didn't finish lunch until 2:30. Then we did some shopping together. I helped her to buy some presents for her children. I can't tell you how glad we were to see each other again. We used to be very great friends before she went to live abroad. I hadn't seen her for, 10 or 12 years at least.
Lesson 34, 34th lesson. Shopping.
Excuse me, how do I get to the glove department?
Over there on the left, madam. Just past the ribbon counter.
Is this the right counter for gloves?
Yes, madam. What sort of gloves do you require? Kid, suede, chamois?
Well, let me see some of each.
Certainly, madam. What size do you take?
6 1/4, I believe. But you'd better measure my hand to make sure.
I think a 6 is your size. How do you like these? I can recommend them. They're very reliable.
How much are they?
19 and 11, madam.
Very well, I'll take them. And now, how do I get to the shoe department?
Come this way, please, and I'll show you. Just over there, beyond the millinery department.
What kind of shoe did you want, madam? Calf, glacé, suede?
I want a strong walking shoe with a low heel. Perhaps calf would be best. I like court shoes, but of course high heels aren't suitable for country wear. As you see, I have rather small feet.
Here's a pair about your size. Try them on. How do they feel?
They're fairly comfortable, but they're a bit tight across the toes. I suppose they'll give a little.
Yes, they'll stretch with wearing.
Very well, then.
34th lesson. Shopping.
Excuse me, how do I get to the glove department?
Over there on the left, madam. Just past the ribbon counter.
Is the right counter for gloves?
Yes, madam. What sort of gloves do you require? Kid, suede, chamois?
Well, let me see some of each.
Certainly, madam. What size do you take?
6 1/4, I believe. But you'd better measure my hand to make sure.
I think a 6 is your size. How do you like these? I can recommend them. They're very reliable.
How much are they?
19 and 11, madam.
Very well, I'll take them. And now, how do I get to the shoe department?
Come this way, please, and I'll show you. Just over there, beyond the millinery department.
What kind of shoe did you want, madam? Calf, glacé, suede?
I want a strong walking shoe with a low heel. Perhaps calf would be best. I like court shoes, but of course high heels aren't suitable for country wear. As you see, I have rather small feet.
Here's a pair about your size. Try them on. How do they feel?
They're fairly comfortable, but they're a bit tight across the toes. I suppose they'll give a little.
Yes, they'll stretch with wearing.
Very well, then. Now, let's see, what else did I want? Oh, yes, some silk stockings, shoe polish, pair of scissors, and some safety pins.
Lesson 35, 35th lesson. The tailor and the dressmaker.
This morning I've been to my tailor's to order a new suit, coat, waistcoat and trousers.